This is Brian of Trifonic, and today I'm going to show you the FM8 patch that I demonstrated in the last video, where it was mixed in with a couple of bass lines and things in the remix I was working on. So I'll show you what's going on in the patch, and then you can actually download it to play around with it yourself. And in the process, I'll demonstrate how the Morph Square works. In any case, let me play you this example where I've got the sound as the lead. One thing I wanted to mention before we dig in further with this is the percussion here, these drums, and actually this chord strike as well. I'll play these for you real quick. So the bulk of that, and even that little bass note that's in there, these are from Wave Alchemy's drum tools, which I just recently got. And it's really cool. It's got some really nice sounds that sort of added to my drum layers in here, so I wanted to test them out as an example and really like how it sounds. Anyway, let's talk about this patch here. So in FM8, here's what it sounds like. Right? So that's that lead part in there. And so really what's going on here, it's pretty straightforward. So basically, we've got one carrier and one modulator, and that's all being routed through this operator Z here, which is the filter module. If you notice, I've got that set to be in bandpass filter mode here. And if you haven't looked at these at FM8 before, make sure to watch. I have 3 videos on FM8 that are already on the site. So I'm going to kind of go through this maybe a little bit quickly if you haven't seen this before. So first things first, on my carrier here, I've got a ratio of 0.5, which means it's going to sound an octave below the note that I'm playing. And my modulator A has the same ratio. So it's basically just a 1-to-1 ratio in terms of the pitch. So pretty straightforward. So then what's happening here? What sort of creates the movement in the sound? Well, there's a couple things. So one thing I have happening here is that operator A, the modulator, responds to velocity. So I have that set right here. Usually it's in the 0 position here. So I have that to the right, which means that depending on how hard I play the note, I get more or less amount of this modulation. So that's a big part of it. Another thing is there's an LFO that's controlling the filter cutoff. So I've got LFO 1 here, and it's actually assigned to 2 things. So it's assigned to modulate the level of operator A. Remember, operator A is the modulator, it's modulating B. And LFO 1 is also assigned to modulate operator Z, which is our bandpass filter. So remember, if I go to Z here, this is our bandpass filter. We've got it set here. So that LFO is modulating the cutoff. And it's also modulating the level of A. So that's what creates the timbre change. Part of what's happening here too is if we look on the master page here, I've got some unison voices happening here, a little bit of detuning. This analog mode is up at about a little less than halfway, and what that does is creates a little bit of randomness in the tuning. And I've got the digital set up to 81. So what that's kind of like a sample rate reduction. So here it is. Here's without digital. So much more tame of a sound. Like just kind of a, your stereotypical dull sounding FM. Not that FM can't be really exciting, it surely can, but this digital adds a little bit of the top end to it and the harshness that I actually like about it in here. So that's pretty much what's going on in this patch. And then what I do to get a little bit more variety out of it is, well, first there's some effects on it. So on our effects page, we've got overdrive, shelf EQ to basically take out the bass because this was serving as sort of a mid-range kind of thing. And I got some reverb on it as well. So if I turn these off, it's just not quite as bright. So put these back on. And then let's look at this easy morph page. So one thing that they have here is this Morph Square, and basically what this allows you to do is load in a number of different presets. So I could go to my browser here and drag in from here into this little mini Morph Square up here, you know, a couple of presets. Another thing I can do, what I did in this case is, if I made a preset, I can normalize timbre, and what it's going to do is then it will load this same sound into all 4 squares. What I can do is with my cursor here, I can go to the different corners and change the settings. I can also have a certain amount of randomness. That's what these random amount here and random amount here. Notice that if I change it, you can see this is sort of the spread of randomness, these white dots. So I can have randomness, and I can adjust basically like my operator tuning. I can adjust the effect amount and some things like that. You can't morph or interpolate between everything. You can't have different envelopes, or if you have different waveforms, it doesn't morph between them, it just steps between them. But if you have just different effects amount and slightly different tuning, because you can see it will change. You can watch the tuning change if you take a look at those ratios here as I move this. So that's the only thing changing, as well as the overall effects amount. So if you look on this morph page here, I've got my effects amount here. I can't change like which actual effects are on and off, but I can change the overall amount. But notice I can get a pretty nice range of sounds. And sometimes what I'll do, instead of, I could automate this moving around. Or I could just find kind of a sweet spot and leave it there. That's kind of nice, or that's kind of nice too. Maybe a little bit too much reverb, and if there's too much, maybe I'll see what's a little bit below it. So you can get this big range of sounds, and it's a way that you can really come up with something that's expressive by just creating variations on the same sound. And I find that that's very effective, and that's what's happening in this patch. So please download it, check it out, let me know your thoughts on it, and make sure to check out the Wave Alchemy drums if you like the sound of these drums. And thanks.